Welcome to On the Bench. I'm your host for this episode, Brendan Sinone. I'm joined by Zach Blosting, Chris Nee. FSU Clemson, it's rivalry week. What? Sorry, Colin. Rivalry week. Try saying rivalry.
Rivalry week.
Rivalry week.
Can you say it?
Rivalry week.
Rivalry week.
Good
Brett,
Lord.
that's going to be the headline. All right. Got it. All right. So FSU goes up to Clemson at 7 p.m. and it is a rivalry game. But it's one that certainly lacks a little bit of its normal oomph. FSU's 4-4, Clemson's 3-5. I will say some of the advanced analytics, if you're into that sort of thing, show FSU and Clemson as teams that should have more wins than they do, just in terms of like on-field play. Not even just talking about like roster talent or whatnot. But the record's the record. And as we get into this, I think we'll do a little bit of a matchup type of deal, boys. But I think like big picture, if we want to look at how Mike Norvell could somehow earn trust back, and I'm dubious of how I would eventually feel trust that he will get the program in the right way. This is a long build, but going up to Clemson, winning is not just a must, but I think the rest of the way you have to win pretty convincingly, and it starts now. And so that's kind of the starting point for us. Is like what do you need to see? What does a resounding win do for you if that happens? And even let's talk about the other side of it too. A narrow win, a loss. Let's just project how we're going to feel come Sunday morning.
Okay, so if they win, I'll feel like they won a game and
oh my God,
better. I mean, seriously, Clemson has not beat a Power 4 team at home this season. Let's not turn Clemson into something they're not. They are talented. There's plenty of talent on that roster, but they have played horrible football. They're 3-5 for a reason. They're 1-4 at home. That only win is Troy. They are not Clemson of old. This isn't Clemson 2013, 2016, 2018. It's none of that.
I'm sorry, Brett on the side. Brett said something awful. Sorry. Continue.
And if they lose, I think we're just closer to the end game. And I think it depends on the type of loss, what it looks like. If that rapidly speeds it up or just leads us to the evaluation at the end of the season.
Go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry. That's not professional.
Brett really threw me off. Yeah, I mean,
should we talk about the story on the podcast?
If they
leave it all, Brett. No, okay, all right.
If they win convincingly, I think that does say something. Like Brendan was saying, Clemson's kind of been a little bit similar to Florida State this season in the way that I think they've had some calls go against them. I'm not saying that they deserve to win, a number of the games that they lost. They played bad football, but
that was letting everyone know they got some calls against them too.
Yeah, I mean that call in the Duke game to lose it, it should have been defensive holding, not DPI, and the flag was thrown super late. So completely understand there, but you gave up 46 points to Duke at home. That's not winning football at Clemson. I don't even know how that's possible at home. It's not really. I don't think you can call it Death Valley anymore, but
it's just Memorial Stadium these days.
Yeah, I still think that if FSU goes and has a resounding win over Clemson in Death Valley, that is, at the very least, going to buy Norvell, I would assume, until the end of the season.
My wife theorized that a win would give him 2 extra years.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, a close win, I think you're still kind of on edge, right? Because Clemson has not played good football this year. And then I think a loss, I think anything's on the table, especially if it's a blowout loss. I think that could get the ball moving. I still think that, to me, it's like, what has changed, right? Since the Stanford game. Did you all of a sudden just find the money available to make this change? Because
I've thought about this some.
Go ahead, dude.
About the money thing. We know that money's a factor in the decision. I'm trying to phrase it delicately. We know that money's a factor in the decision. Correct?
Yes, we know that.
I don't think when you say find the money, I think they can find the money to do it. It's whether they want to pay that. Like Chris is nodding his head. So I think we have to be careful in how we talk about that.
I agree, but also
Well, you said the wrong thing then, so you can't agree with it and then have said
well, I mean, we know they were trying to find the money after the Stanford loss. So it's not like they just had the money.
They were taking the temperature.
I thought they were taking the temperature after the Pitt game, and then
it was more after the Pitt game that they started taking the temperature. After Stanford, it was a decision not to have an upheaval of the football team.
It was a rectal thermometer after the Stanford game.
Yeah. Like whether you spend the money after Stanford or at the end of the season, you're still spending essentially the damn near exact same amount of money. So, like,
but we know
the timeline doesn't change any of that.
My point is
that they spend that money. Yes, they want to know.
We know they were making calls to boosters to try and crowdfund. Like that happened. So I don't buy into this theory that like they've had the money, all set in stone.
They don't have it all set in stone either.
Yeah. I still think it's somewhat in the air, but yeah, I think that the main point here is, so let's say they, like in the theory that they've had them, they can make this change if they want to today, tomorrow, right? What changes after a loss to Clemson versus what we saw transpire at Stanford? Like, unless it's just like a completely embarrassing performance and players quit. Like to me, it's just, we're analyzing these results week to week, and maybe they do make a change if they lose another game or two. But I just don't see how one could rationalize, besides the financial component to this, being in play, like why make a change now versus not after Stanford?
I think it would have to be an embarrassing loss. I don't think just a loss does it. I think it would have to be, 20 points or something like that, or just look completely uncompetitive the entire time.
But to Zach's point, some of the things that change is, one, you're closer to not being bowl eligible, and not that should be a standard or a benchmark, but it is likely something that's in the discussion nonetheless. And secondly, if you do it now, you basically have to weather 3 weeks versus what would have been essentially 6 after Stanford.
All right, so this is fun. This is a good gauge for where we're going and how we're covering this game. I will be totally transparent. I think it's important to do for our audience and our subscribers at Noles 24/7. Like, I'm struggling to get fired up, not just for this game, just writing football content in general. And the numbers on the website reflect that people aren't really super into it right now.
They're into recruiting.
They're into people decommitting. Like the anger clicks are carrying you right now. Like, that's fine. That's
problem with football, and like I have this thought in my head every Thursday when Zach reminds me to get my predictions in, and then I fall early on the couch in the morning. No, it's more that like you have no. I almost did that.
Sorry, Colin.
Calm myself down a little bit.
Real quick. The Turner Group, Buyer Sonone. I forgot. I wanted to do like a slow lead in and get it in like 2 or 3 minutes, and it derailed a little bit on me. I apologize, Colin. Colin, Amy Turner, awesome people. Home buying, home selling market in Central Florida, throughout the state of Florida. Excellent work ethic, efficient, have well resources throughout the. I wish Trey was doing the ad reads for us. Sorry, Colin. Just if you're trying to buy or sell a home, or you're thinking about it, reach out to Colin. He's a legitimately good person, FSU fan, and works really, really hard. Check them out. And then after you watch Clemson, Florida State on Saturday evening, you're up a little late, you want a nightcap? Chattanooga whiskey. Their 111 is really good. All their cask stuff that if you can get your hands on any of that, give it a try. Their Pinot is really good. Everything they do that is finished is legitimately an excellent product. So Chattanooga whiskey as well. Sorry, Chris, you don't give a what?
I was just gonna say, like, trying to predict what the hell this team is gonna be week to week is just a fool's exercise. It's a waste of time. I just, after having watched them for 8 weeks, like, I just feel wholeheartedly that way. Like, they could go to Clemson and win. They could win convincingly. They could win a little bit. They could lose by a little bit, or they could get blown the hell out. Every factor I feel like is in the same boat. I just have no, other than knowing Deuce Robinson's really good, that Earl Little is going to play hard, and like 5 other things that you can write down on paper, and they're pretty consistent. Most of this football team, there's just no consistency to it. There's no expectation of consistency. There's no belief of what the hell the picture is going to look like week to week. And to me, that is as incriminating as anything. about this football team, but like that's how I feel about it. So like, I don't think Clemson's very good. I'm blown away by how bad that defense is with the amount of talent it has. I also think highly of Tom Allen as a defensive coordinator, but it just has not worked for them this year. I mean, what Duke did to them aerial wise, vertically, as far as explosives, as far as a blown coverage that allowed to play up the sideline earlier in that game, it was just crazy to watch that and be like, this is Clemson. Like, that's not what Clemson's supposed to look like. I've never been a huge Cade Klubnik guy. He's capable of putting it up on you, but he's also capable of giving it away a couple times and making some bad decisions. So, like, I struggled to look at this game in the prism of classic FSU Clemson rivalry, deciding the ACC for several years there. It just has none of that quality to me. So, like that's where I land on the football coverage / viewpoint standpoint of it all. Like, I didn't feel like asking our Clemson guy 5 questions about him because I think his answer is going to be similar to if you ask me about FSU. Who the hell knows what the hell is going to show up on that football field on Saturday? Like that's where I'm at with FSU for sure. Clemson's been a little more consistent at the defense has been sort of their Achilles.
It just did you have something to add to that, Zach?
No, I agree with you guys. I mean, thinking of stuff that FSU fans want to consume about this football team is difficult. And then to add into what Chris is saying, they're just such an unpredictable bunch. And like, it's like we write something one week and then we see the complete opposite on the field the next. And it's
like Sam Singleton is, I think, a good example of that.
Is that a flash in the pan singular week thing that I saw against Wake that he exploited and did a great job and good for Sam? Or is that going to be a persistent thing that we see?
I mean, Mike's kind of hinted through his words, right? Like that it's a week-to-week kind of thing, and whether he gets a lot of carries or minimal. Like he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said some amongst those lines. So I lean towards that. It was something against Wake with how they were going. I think Wake spent a lot of time or resources trying to take away the perimeter, like Tommy running and stuff like that, and there was a lot of gaps inside. And they went with a guy who they knew was going to get north very quickly. I think that was I think that's basically what this was, a Sam Singleton game, which is fine. Like, that's cool. You should have a variety of pieces to be able to be matchup specific, especially when you don't have elite talent. Like, you're going to have to contort to what you need to do each week. But we don't. Other than Deuce Robinson, like, we don't know.
And Randy, we know Randy's going to.
Randy Pittman's going to get, but even then he's as he gets further removed from injuries. I mean, I guess the week coming off of his injury against Virginia, he had 3 touchdowns, but.
Dude, you just need to run him on that Wildcat.
Can we do that all the time?
Dude, that was a badass run.
it was a lot of Randy Pittman Wildcat, please. So yeah, I think just in general, what Chris is talking about is distrust. I mean, it's another like that is he doesn't trust this team one week to week. I feel apathy is how I feel. I'm struggling with that, and we didn't talk about it a lot over this past week, but like I was in the stands for the Wake game. Like I wanted to get a feeling of what it was like. I've been covering this team for more than 10 years. I've watched every single game up in the press box, other than the Cheez-It Bowl with my dad in Orlando, which was a cool experience. And that was a lot of fun. And Zach and his dad were actually pretty close too. And that was fun. And that was cool to see it from that perspective. But it was my first time in Doak, like in Doak, in the stands in Doak watching it.
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, why would I?
It's really messed up that was your first game in Doak.
I did want to get a temperature check for what I thought was like potentially a boiling point game, I guess. Yeah, it would have been more fun to go to a significant one, but I'm working. Like I'm in the press box covering those. I think some people, when I tweeted that, were like, "You've never been to Doak?" I was like, well, I've been to Doak every single home game, but like not watching. It's different in the press box, as Chris can attest to from when he used to go as not even as a student, because you were working somewhere else as a student.
Youngin.
Yeah. I mean, I had the same, my college experience as I was somewhere else, at another program, covering that program. And I watched one season as a fan, as a freshman, and the rest of it, I was in the press box. So anyways, I wanted to get like a sense of what it felt like. And through that entire first half, it felt like people were just kind of sitting on their hands waiting, right? Like, and that's just kind of, it wasn't a bad environment. It wasn't a good environment. It just was. It was well attended. But you go ahead, Zach, because you've sat there, you've viewed it much more from that prism than I have. But I found that level of trepidation almost interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you could. So that I think it was the first offensive drive for FSU. it did not go well, and you could hear slight boos coming from mainly the student section after that drive. But that was really the only time that the team gave the fans a reason to boo in that game.
Did you like my line from muffled boos to moobs? I thought that was very good.
What?
In my column. Never mind. I
Zach
guess
didn't read it.
Thanks for reading.
Yeah, I guess not.
There's a
But
student
anyway.
section with the.
Okay, gotcha.
Did you like
yeah.
it, Chris?
Sure. I'll appease you. Yes, I loved it, Simone. That was brilliant. I'm very happy for you. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, it was the environment definitely different after the team started getting going, and it wasn't as crowded. But the Alabama game, before that game, I felt very similar to how the Wake crowd felt. It was very cautious, but I think with the Alabama game, there was still the unknown optimism. Whereas Wake, I think it was people kind of waiting, anticipating the team kind of coming out flat. That obviously wasn't the case. But shout out to all the FSU fans that showed up to that game. It was more well attended than I thought, and
Very
thought
much so.
Yeah, impressive.
Well, so let's talk about the Clemson game real quick. I don't think we need to dive into it because I don't think people are going to be super interested in an in-depth breakdown. I just don't. Clemson has issues, but they have talent as well. I think offensively, Chris, let's talk about that real quick. Cade Klubnik makes things go for them. We saw against Duke, they are capable of scoring in bunches. That is.
Yeah, the offense can put it up. I mean, they miss Westco. Bryant Westco is such a good receiver for them. They'll miss that. But Antonio was kind of force-fed in the Duke game and was very productive for them. Had a couple early touchdowns in that game. Their running game is so-so. Adam Randall, former receiver, is now running the ball. They also used a younger guy a good bit in the Duke game. I think he had about 14 for 56 roughly 4 per carry. He was slightly productive for them, but they're not going to run it down their throat. It seems like it's definitely much more an air raid type of team this year than it is a ground and pound. The O-line has been an inconsistent group in the sense of who's been available. I think, if I recall correctly, I think it's 2 members of it, the center and Miller, one of the tackles, are the only 2 that have played every game. They've had a lot of rotation because of injuries. They have a couple guys banged up going into this one, Colin Sadler being probably more important of the 2 that are banged up. That may cause that to continue. So there's been a little bit of a, consistently with Clemson over the last decade plus of Dabo's years there, it's been that the O-line's been sort of a consistent force of doing what they need to do to allow the offense to be what it's supposed to be in. This year, it feels like that group's more susceptible than I can remember them being in some time.
Sorry, the side group chat's just wild right now. The Dynasty League. Oh boy. Defensively, they got issues right now, and that hasn't clicked for them with the new defensive coordinator. They have talent, right? They have a handful of NFL caliber defenders. It feels kind of like last year, almost like watching Florida State's defense, except for it's not married with the worst offense in the country. That hopes that you can protect them with points sometimes.
I would have killed for Peter Woods in Tallahassee last year. I mean, Peter Woods is a stud. TJ is an excellent end. Will Health is another one for them. Brown and Woodass, I figured I'd bring that one up again. At linebacker are 2 really good guys for them. Avian Terrell.
What did you think of Brown as a prospect?
They liked him. They've had both Sammy and his younger brother on campus for camps and stuff. They were never major players there.
Do you have anything to add to that, Zach?
I'm pretty sure that the former linebacker coach
got
to get him to camp before they offer eval. Good times. Yeah, their secondary has not played very well, right?
Yeah.
That's a big issue with Clemson.
Especially in the middle. The safeties have really been picked apart. I mean, that Mensa, Duke threw it 41 times, I think it was. I mean, it was good. I watched that Duke game yesterday morning because I was sort of watching it in the press box on Saturday, but, doing a lot of other things at the same time, so not really paying a great deal of attention. Blew my mind. Duke just air constantly. And Duke's willingness to go for it on 4th down, it just was crazy. That's not what Clemson defensively traditionally has been.
Yeah, and it doesn't make a ton of sense because they do have that talent in the front 7. You'd think that would help the secondary a good amount. But those guys haven't really lived up to the hype that they had preseason and based on their production last year and years prior. Like, TJ Parker and Peter Woods were viewed as some of the top defensive linemen in the country. You bring in a freak athlete at linebacker like Sammy Brown. Obviously he's young, but he's a guy that they had sky high expectations for. But yeah, I mean, them giving up 46 points at home is that's ridiculous for the Clemson defense. That's nowhere near what we know them to be. So yeah, I mean, maybe that allows FSU to do some things in the passing game.
There were multiple explosives allowed in that game by Clemson. There was one where a DB came down for a blitz and nobody went over to cover the receiver, so he's wide open. It was 70-plus yards, if I recall. Then they had two others where they just basically ran behind the deepest man on the field and connected on the pass. And it's just that's not normal for Clemson. Clemson's either getting home in those situations and causing havoc in the backfield, or they've got the guy back there who can make the play, and they haven't been that, and they've struggled a lot. Like Duke obviously is one that gets the most focus because it's the most recent one, but they've had some of these issues reoccurring across the entirety of their season.
You look at, I know the secondary stuff is something I think like what I want to dive into here real quick, guys, is FSU's offense versus Clemson's defense, because I do find that to be probably a tipping point for you in a style versus style type of matchup. We know Florida State wants to run the ball. Is Clemson going to be able to stop the ball or stop the running the ball? Like, is going to be able to stop the run efficiently? And I'm looking through some of the numbers here. Like they don't get gashed in any single game. I think their worst showing was allowing 4.96 yards per carry against SMU a few weeks ago. That was in a loss. Other than that, it's usually around 3.5 or so. Like, so they don't get gashed in the run game. Their defensive front is good. So are you going to be able to pass the ball on them? I think is what level of play do you get from Tommy Castellanos? Is that ankle sprain any better? Does he have some mobility to be able to keep them honest in the run game? Like, I think those are kind of the matchups that I'm looking at, is whether it's just something you can find some success level with. But Clemson doesn't really get beat on the ground very often. So I find that to be problematic from a matchup perspective.
Yeah. That's I wrote about that in my prediction. Like, that's going to be the key for FSU, is establishing some sort of running game, because I do think that's going to be like, if there's going to sustain drives, like obviously that'll be a key component to that.
They're not good at it though. Like, I will say that they are 33rd nationally in EPA per rush. Now they're 56th nationally in EPA per pass. So can you do enough on the ground to create play action stuff that's successful?
Yeah, when Tommy does push it vertically, you got to push it over the top. Like, it's got to be throw it up there and let your guy run under it instead of having to wait on it, because where Clemson's been beat, it's a foot race getting vertical.
I thought the throw to Danzy was good against Wake. You could tell even before he threw it, just the way he set his feet and stuff, you're like, oh, he's launching it. You could tell. And I didn't realize it was Danzy. That's who he was throwing it to, but that's a good play. You can get Danzy one-on-one downfield and air it out for him. Pretty high success rate so far this season.
I think not a big matchup, I think, for FSU is DBs have to fight through screens. Clemson still loves screening it up, especially on the perimeter. And they'll do that a lot with Antonio.
Clemson's EPA stuff is super interesting on offense. They are 22nd nationally in EPA per pass. Rush, they are 114th nationally.
They started the year horribly on the ground. They have improved at a good tick, but not absurdly in that regard.
Yeah, because the guy that runs it for them is Randall, right?
Yeah, Adam Randall is their primary back. They've started to integrate the other kid a little bit more.
Gideon Davidson.
Yeah.
I think he's the higher level back.
I agree with you. He's also more of a natural back. Randall's really a receiver that moved to back because he's a thicker body.
They're kind of like bipolar week to week with the rushing stuff. They averaged 6.5 against Syracuse, and then under 3 against North Carolina, then 5.5 against Boston College, then 1 against SMU, and then almost 5 this past week against Duke.
2 games, I think, of 35 or less rushing yards. And I think they've also had 2 games of 200 or more rushing yards. So, yeah.
That means they're due, though. If they're just going good week, bad week, then they're due for a bad week. So we'll see. Big Darrell Jackson game. I'm interested to see what confidence does for Florida State if you actually harnessed some against Wake Forest, because you started that game pretty it wasn't even sloppy. It was just kind of shrugging my shoulders, meh. And Wake Forest started sloppy, and you're able to just compound that against a team that's super limited. Clemson's at a breaking point, I think, now as they're back against the wall, and this is a final stand for Dabo, night game against FSU. Maybe there's also going to be a chance where you could get them to where they consider quitting. They consider what? What's funny?
Did Chris just fart?
No, that was a dog in the background.
That was a dog.
I thought it was clapping for Brendan, though. I'm like, oh, finally supporting Brendan. How sweet.
They're going to quit. Make them quit.
Yeah, I wanted to be optimistic and say FSU starts fast and makes it a really interesting game because of that. But I actually think it's going to be a whole lot of feeling each other out of the gate.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be kind of like the two dogs barking at each other through a fence, and then once the fence gets removed, we'll just ground and growl at each other. Whichever one nips first, I think, is eventually going to just bite the other one's jugular. That's not how that video usually ends, though. But yeah, I don't have a great sense, to Chris's point earlier, of what this game is going to be. I don't know what either of these teams are. I think we do have a decent idea of strengths and weaknesses, just kind of which one's able to assert itself. And again, there's this very real chance that either one of these teams could just kind of bow down, and this becomes a decisive game for the loser. In terms of how I opened it, whether like we can collectively, either covering the team, FSU fans who've lost faith in this coaching staff, re-earn it. I'm with you, Chris, on like it's week to week, and we're not trying to put too much in one game because it is just one game. My point is that the cumulative to have a chance, right, for Mike Norvell to have a chance beyond these next 4 games, it's like you have to win this one, and I think you have to win it fairly convincingly, not to have a longer stay, but to actually have a chance to build to something. Like, I do think there's an element of you can't just keep surviving. You can't just scrape by. You have to actually show to stakeholders proof of concept at this point, because that's just that you've burned that all away. You burned that all up. So that's my viewpoint. It's like there has to be something that shows it at some point. We're going to talk about recruiting. It's sure as shit not recruiting right now.
I can't muster any of that though. Like I mean, similar to what we talked about Tuesday, I'd prefer them to win. Like, yeah, that the weekly objective is for them to win. I'd prefer that to happen. I'm not rooting for the program to lose, for there to be change, but like muster or long-going belief beyond this year, it doesn't exist for me. Yeah. Like, even if he keeps his job, and if he does, he does. That's what the decision makers decide. I just don't have any of it. It's gone for me. And I don't think it's going to magically come back. I guess is the best way I can just put it. It's like, I just don't believe it's going to come back. There would have to be such a drastic overhaul in the approach of everything he does with his program, which I don't expect as we go from 6 to 7 potentially. I just don't expect it. So like I don't have any of that. But hey, if he wins out, good for them and good for the players, and it is what it is. And FSU's power brokers will have to decide as they decide.
You are a black and white individual. And I do side with, like, I do feel that's the most likely thing. I'm trying to find something in the margins there. If there's anything, any glimmer of hope, I'm trying to find that level of optimism.
Yeah, it's something that we have to talk about because they haven't made a change, and they announced that they're in support of the football of Mike Norvell for, moving forward. So like, we do have to talk about that possibility and how that could come to fruition. But I think there's, we can also remove that from our personal feelings on the subject, which I think
even that's two different things, though. I think, Zach, like, one is the road to keeping him, and another is keeping him with a level of optimism that could approach. Like, and I think I can see the path to keeping him. I'm afraid it's a pretty low bar right now. They've kind of insinuated as much through their actions, implied as much. I think the idea of there being some level of optimism is super bleak. But if it's going to happen, right, if you're going to rally the fan base, if you're going to rally boosters and donors to say, okay, you showed that this team still believes in you, you still have a pulse of the program, let's reinvest this offseason instead of 2026 just being another, what? Why are you laughing?
saw Brett's story about how he.
No. Just keep it moving. We're not talking about it on the podcast.
I just feel like if we're gonna.
All right, then talk about it on the podcast. It's not me.
Brett. People need a little relief, comic relief.
Brett left.
Really? Oh my gosh!
What's happening?
Sorry, we're struggling technically right now. My story about my bike incident.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that one, please.
Okay. Well, for context, we've been texting in another group chat about embarrassing stories of our lives today. So, when I was a freshman in college at FSU, my very first day of college, at the time I did not have a license, so I was biking to campus to go to my friend's dorm, and I was on my phone going past Doak where the speed bumps are, and I hit a speed bump with one hand on the handlebar, and it went flying over the handlebars, and I broke my bike, and I was bleeding all over my body, and randomly some random person walking by knew how to fix bikes and fixed my bike magically. And I felt like it was an angel sent from heaven. So then I ended up biking the rest of the way to campus with blood pouring down my legs. And that was my very first day ever on campus. And of course, there were like 10 cars around when this happened. So all these people saw it. So it was
pretty sorority girls were pointing, laughing at you.
Probably. But this was 8 years ago now. So it's okay. We've moved on at this point. Bye, guys.
Bye,
I hope
Brett.
that was a relief for you.
It was. Thank you.
It wasn't that good.
The imagery of Brett flipping over his handlebars is something that I wish I got to witness.
I held my mother-in-law's hand on the beach for like 3 minutes romantically, not realizing it was my mother-in-law. She wasn't my mother-in-law then either. It was like the second time I'd ever interacted with them.
That's way worse.
That's my most embarrassing story.
What was her reaction afterwards?
Well,
and why did she continue to hold your hand?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that is a good question, and we've asked her that too. I mean, I take the fault. I'm the one who grabbed the hand. I didn't realize it.
But she didn't say anything.
She did eventually, and that's when I realized what was happening. But I think it was a good 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even more than that. So Ashley's folks had gone down to Clearwater every year. That's where Ashley vacationed. They're from upstate New York, so it was a big deal. Like going to Clearwater every year was a big deal, and this was early on in Ashley and I's relationship. And so me getting invited down to this like family ritual was a big deal. Her mom loves shelling. Like you're just going and finding shells on the beach, but like super competitive about it. Like they would like legit race down there to try to find the best shells. I'm competitive. So if I was going to be a part of it, like I was going to be a part of it. So I was super fixated on just like what was right in front of me. I was like a truffle pig. Like I was just looking down at what was in front of me. And so we're walking along the beach, and I'm also not good at it too, much like CFB 26. Like I just don't know.
I think higher of you that you're not good at shelling the record.
all the shells kind of look similar to me. Like I couldn't identify what was a good one. So I started trying to pay really close attention to it. And I'm holding Ashley's hand, and like she goes, "They're laughing at us." And I was like, okay. And that wasn't enough to immediately break the trance, but it did like kind of, I think, like plant a seed that something was wrong. Because about 10 to 15 seconds after Ashley said they're laughing at us, I looked over and realized I was holding not Ashley's hand, but Ashley's mom's hand. And I got really scared and went, because I thought she was messing with me. But no, I just absentmindedly was holding her hand for like 4 or 5 minutes, I guess. I don't know, maybe less than that.
How do you not realize that you're holding her hand?
Were you blind for 5 minutes?
It was weird. I was like in a trance. I don't know why. I don't know how it happened. Apparently, when asked about why, she's like, I just thought he was maybe a little strange, and she was too nice to say something.
She wasn't wrong.
Boy, she nailed that.
All right, I'm leaving.
Bye, Brett. Thanks for provoking that.
All right, back on topic, guys.
So predictions. I actually predicted FSC to win, but I feel like it's the most coin flip game ever. Like it's two teams that any 4 outcomes can apply to either team.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I picked Clemson to win, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I did not think last week's game was going to go the way it did. Yeah, I picked Clemson to win 34-28, I think. I just think that FSU's defense is going to struggle to consistently get stops. And I think their offense will have some success, but I envision the Clemson defensive front creating some havoc when it comes to FSU's ability to consistently run the ball, especially with Tommy's legs not really being a factor anymore.
I just know Chris right now saying he's not into it. If FSU goes up and wins 50 to like 25 or something, he's going to be like,
he's going to feel like FSU like 2013.
Yeah, he is. He's saying that right now. He's going to be back. Yeah.
No, boys, I'm not.
Okay. We'll remember this. He's going to be all giddy.
He shows up
He's going to be sending me a bunch of YouTube links.
I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to enjoy the singular week-to-week moment, but for where I believe this program should be, I'm not.
Let's talk about recruiting. All right, so in the last week, FSU has compiled 3 commitments on defense, and they've lost 3 commitments on defense. Now, we've documented since we last did the podcast 2 of the commitments, and that was 3-star linebacker Dalen Green and 3-star defensive end Chris Carbon. Both of them, I think Carbon's a higher floor guy. I think Green is more really high variance. Part of it's because he's just young, like at his class. He's a reclass and had a big growth spurt, and we will see there. But both of them I view as like above average 3-star guys, which would point to like potential power 4 starting. And the third that they added, and we'll break down his game a little bit if you guys want to, if you find that instructional, is Franklin Whitley from South Carolina, defensive end recruit with crazy long arms, like wingspans closer to 85 inches than it is 80, which would like 90, like 7th percentile. Not for high school players, for like guys who are entering the NFL draft through the combine. So new to football, hadn't played it since 5th grade, but a lot of upside there, and actually some really good film given that he hasn't played the sport a whole lot. Basketball pedigree, we can talk about that, guys. But those are your 3 in. Your 3 out. Tadarius Hughes, cornerback, flips to Syracuse. I liked his junior film a lot. Really skinny. I was curious to see how he'd fill out. No senior film out there. Weird tweets after his commitment, making fun of a fan for not having money when he has. It seemed unnecessary too. It wasn't even like a personal shot at him. I'm okay with that. That's I misevaluated some things there. Tigo Crittenden, I like a lot. One that I think we collectively have been higher on than even FSU's staff. Like I don't think they were heartbroken for him to go. I could misread that. I'll let you, Zach, if you want to correct me on that, feel free. But I think that's one that ever since they had him, they've been kind of lukewarm. I like him a lot. The one that hurts, the one that we're going to talk about, I think the one that's going to get the fan base up in arms is losing a legacy commit. That's Jay Timmons. We have him as a 4-star corner at 24/7 Sports. Rivals has him as a 5-star. I think that's a little ridiculous, to be totally honest. It's really, really high for a undersized corner, but someone who I would have really liked to have in this class because of his attitude. I think he has a really high floor. Obviously, the football pedigree. He flips to Ohio State. He's good enough for Ohio State. He's good enough for Florida State right now. So the 3 for 3. Chris, who wins that trade in a vacuum? Did FSU get better or worse for its long-term prospects with that trade-off on defense?
FSU lost because the top value on that was Timmons, and he's gone.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
And I like Tico too. I had all those guys as 4 stars.
Yeah.
And I think I had these 3 guys coming in as 1 4-star and 2 3-stars. So just objectively.
Yeah. I guess I'll start with the positive. Like, I don't hate the fact that they are adding more bodies to the front 7. I've criticized FSU over the years for the lack of numbers they put at those, or they take at those positions in the high school ranks. So I don't hate that, but you dig deeper. If we want to get into some of the details of some of the decommitments, I think Tadarius Hughes, that was
I think this is the only thing that people are gets the blood flowing is decommitments at this point, Zach. So let's
but I wanted to start with some of the commit stuff. But
okay.
So decommitment. Tadarius Hughes, I think that was primarily a money thing. I think he got offered a higher amount of money by Syracuse, and FSU was not willing to budge on what they had offered him previously. And I don't think they're super heartbroken about that, and then obviously he's tweeting out stuff that's just, not very, doesn't speak to
it's not mature.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly. It shows immaturity, which is whatever, right? But yeah, I do think that was one that they weren't up in arms about. And then, Tico, there's been like NIL disputes there between him and the coaching staff, or his camp and the coaching staff, I should say. I don't really think it's Tico himself. But to give you an example of like what's kind of going on with that situation, I interviewed Tico like after one of the games. And this was after like a win. I think it wasn't even like a controversial interview of like asking a commit what he thinks of a loss or something. But someone in his camp came up to me afterwards, completely normal interview. The kid didn't say anything, super noteworthy. I don't even think I wrote about it or was going to write about it. Someone in his camp came up to me afterwards asking me to delete the interview because I guess he wasn't around to listen to what Tico had to say. So there's just a lot of weird dynamics around that recruitment that FSU, to their fault, if you're going to say that, there were weird dynamics and that's why you didn't want to keep him in the class, like they took him too. Like they made that.
And those weird dynamics were since the start of that.
Yeah, before he committed.
Yeah. Or as he was committing, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess the original dispute was like the NIL number changed based on what he was offered on his visit versus like a week after, because he was considering taking another visit, and FSU was like, this offer stands if you don't take another visit or whatever.
And he had taken other defensive line commitments, I think, in that stretch.
Yeah, it was like a stretch of guys that they had landed at the position. So, yeah, I mean, I like Tico as a player, but there are other dynamics that you have to take into account there. And then, yeah, I mean, the one that hurts the most, the one that stings is Jay Timmons. That's a guy that, obviously the son of Lawrence Timmons, the former FSU linebacker. I don't think the legacy thing really played. I mean, it played a factor because I do think that Timmons' mom, she went to FSU, I believe, as well.
Correct.
And got to camp 2 years in a row.
Yeah, he also, I didn't realize this, but he came to camp by himself over the summer. Like, he literally flew down by himself.
Yeah, I think Corn Dog actually brought him up. Mikhail Cornegay, who used to play here as a walk-on, who works with DBs in St. Augustine. What?
I just love that you just dropped. Oh, yeah, Corn Dog brought him.
Oh, yeah, we all know who Corn Dog is. I knew who Corn Dog was. We've had him on the pod.
People from that day, back in the day when Cornegay was here, he was a very well-liked walk-on from Madison County.
Back in the day, Chris, when was the day? Say it out loud. Say the year out loud.
When did Corn Dog play here? Was he like 06 to 9-ish?
I was in high school. Yes.
Sorry, I'm old. Get over it. I'm old.
Right. So, yeah,
but I think he brought Timmons over. Yeah. And I know there's a relationship there, and some of that is because Lawrence and Corn Dog know each other.
Yeah, and Timmons at that camp was unbelievable. We all were super high on his performance, and he got offered and would later flip to FSU from Indiana. They make some good evals, by the way. And he started blowing up again after a really strong start to his senior year this fall. Got an offer from Penn State first. He was considering them a little bit, took a visit there. Obviously, things faded, and then Ohio State jumped in the mix, and they very quickly scheduled an OV with him and were able to flip him. I heard from several sources that he took less money to go to Ohio State, like a considerable amount less. So this was not a thing where FSU got outbid. Like, this is, I think, a decision of the kid wanting to go play at Ohio State and, thinking that was a better move for him, which, I mean, if you're looking at this objectively, like I don't fault the kid. And even if FSU had a more successful season, it probably would have been hard to keep him away from Ohio State. I mean, there's just not many schools doing it like that. I think Jay Timmons.
I think if FSU wasn't 4-4, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Oh, 100%. I'm just saying, we also know what this staff has done even when they've won when it comes to keeping their top commits.
Don't say that.
Okay, so I'm not allowed to bring up facts.
No, or don't be negative.
I'm bringing up facts. I'm not being negative.
I'm messing with you.
Beyond winning and losing, I also think the fact that Charles Lester, Kai Bates, and others who are younger in that room not making much of an impact has not helped FSU's cause in that regard.
But like, duty starts.
Yeah, he's won.
Which, by the way, how much of a menace does he have to be if every single player not only said that they wouldn't want him to date their daughter, but did it without thinking? Like, that was crazy.
Brendan's referencing a video that came, like a TikTok video, where they were asking the FSU players who they wouldn't want to date their daughter, and they mentioned Shamar Arnu.
It wasn't that they all said it; it was how fast they said it.
It reminds me of the one they did with Stephon Diggs I think in the Bills locker room years ago. That was pretty good. But yeah, so huge loss because obviously it's a legacy recruit, really talented defensive back that they kind of got in on, not originally, but like before his recruitment really took off to like a high P4 level. And yeah, now FSU's DB class, you lose to Darius Hughes and Jay Timmons. They're sitting at 3. One is Chauncey Kennan, the 5-star. Then they got 2 3-star safeties and Sean Johnson and Darrell Bell.
He's got an FSU tattoo. At least should feel pretty solid about that.
I saw
Pat Robinson had a Miami tattoo and played at FSU. So just mentally prepare yourself.
When was this from?
Oh, God. Damn it, man. I don't know. Early 2000s.
Does he have like a
younger, I wasn't as
food-related
fat.
nickname?
The beard wasn't as full. Like there was a lot going on. What?
Did he have a food-related nickname?
No, I think he just went by P Rob as far as nicknames go.
His whole name. No, this is growth. This is improvement. I think Emma, come back here and clap for me.
Corn dog.
Hey, I didn't call Darius Hughes Papa, and I didn't call Tico Taco in this. So like I've backed off the nicknames.
That is
start counting with this.
Chris? Why do you think that is a thing for you? The nickname.
I don't know. I enjoy nicknames. They humor me to a degree.
What's your nickname?
Me?
Animal. Oh, that's right.
Animal.
That's not a nickname though. It's longer than your actual name. Chris Nee is two syllables. The Animal 4. It's not a nickname.
Just something else he goes by. Yeah. So recruiting is great, but I don't know what people expect. I don't know what people expected. Like
I love Zach's like recruiting is great. So they have 10 decommitments now. 2 of those have bounced back. So I guess we're gonna go with the net, which is 8. Yeah, it's a pretty good decommitment class, though.
I mean, generally it is for them. They built a really good team.
Their decommitment class over the last like 6 years is insane.
I was gonna do that over the summertime, but I was like, no, the fan base could not have handled that at that moment.
No, I did that once and it was very poorly received.
Yeah. But now I think people would actually want it, and now I feel like it's kicking a dead horse.
Before Zach would do it with AI. Imagine
one time.
What would FSU's all-time decommitment class be? Let's see. Oh, this is a fantastic question and a painful one for Florida State fans. If we're talking FSU's all-time decommitment class, we're essentially building a hypothetical roster. Justin Fields, not committed ever.
What?
Sam Howell.
Okay.
All right. Dalvin Cook was almost a decommitment.
What? Dude.
Cam Akers stayed, so we skip him. All right. Decommitments, they're saying, all right, here you go, Chris. DeMarcus Bowman and Jaron Early.
Who are these
This
people?
is not true at all. Jamar Chase was never almost. Landon Dickerson is definitely a decommitment, given that he played for them.
That's why I don't trust AI.
Julian Armella. Oh, yeah, that one hurt. Kayvon Thibodeau. Almost. It's just doing an almost list. Guys, I really do like Franklin Whitley. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There were a lot of big time schools that were poking around on his recruitment. I mean, he took OBs to South Carolina. He took a visit to Tennessee this past weekend. Alabama was going to bring him in. Like he's had some big time interest from SEC schools.
Yeah, I think he was talking about Clemson too towards the end of the month. At one point was a possibility. Yeah. I like Franklin because the upside is really good and the build is great. Like there's the traits and the tools you hope to invest in and turn it into something. The issue to this day and age, and specifically to this program, is the ability to retain somebody like that, develop somebody like that, and get the return on the investment down the road.
Yeah. The one thing I will say with him that's kind of a green flag as well, and it's something that I'm paying attention to more, and I think coaches are as well. He's not a big like social media guy. I don't think that that's like a big thing for him, and I kind of view that as like a new age like kind of box checking metric. With like I think FSU this season has had some issues with that. Like we know players that really pay too much attention to like what's said about them on social media, and it makes sense considering like my generation, their generation of players they grew up their entire childhood on social media. So it makes sense that they would struggle to like tune that out. And I do think that maybe there's value in bringing in guys that don't put as much stock into that.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot. For one, I don't think it's going to be as long of a burn there as you would think, given how little he's played football. I don't think he's like a day one guy, but there's a lot of like functional athleticism, awareness, effort, and the frame's good. Like that should be a guy within year two is contributing in some capacity if you're doing it right.
Can I give some? This is completely random. Are we done with the like recruiting stuff?
Yeah, I'm done with all of it, Zach.
I have some scout team intel. Chastain Brown, I think that's how you say his name. He's the very light offensive tackle that FSU brought in.
Yeah, on the Chick-fil-A diet.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that he's been playing some tight end for a scout team, and he apparently looks like a freak at tight end.
That makes sense. I think there's some people who kind of were talking about that. He's your next biscuit.
So
he's not going to have the weight to put. He's not going to have the frame to put on to get to 300 and like 10, 20 pounds.
This is why you stay in for the podcast an hour in to get.
Yeah, Zach's got that great scoop, that great Chastain Brown scoop.
Yeah, and then apparently another person brought up Sandman as a guy that they think is going to be a dude. So that's the scout team intel of the week.
Right.
Herb's been pretty straightforward that he loves Sandman.
Is that going to be the first guy that Clay think loves that doesn't bust?
Dude, that has become like a
it's a Clay kiss of death. I told him. Yeah.
Clay.
What, Brett, you want to jump on? No? Shaking his head. Okay. Don't distract us. Either help or don't. Be part of the process or not part of the process. Well, guys, I think we're in a good spot.
Sorry, Colin.
Throw a buy or send on in here. Just do a buy or send on. Just off top of your head. Let's do it.
Buy or send on sponsored by
the Turner Group.
The Smoking Pig Barbecue.
Oh, buy all damn day, 7 days a week. If it was open 7 days a week,
where would you put that in the pantheon of your barbecue experiences, Chris?
Oh, probably like on its best day, top 3 or 4 easily.
Chris, that place. What was the place we went to at NC State and Raleigh?
The Pig.
The
Pit.
I've heard I've heard that's got Andy Staples tweeted about it the other day because I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's got him and Andrew Carter talking about it.
Yeah.
The Pit when it first opened was like A1, like fantastic. It's still good eat. It's not the best you can get in North Carolina though. Like there's some really good places in that state, obviously.
I got I forget what it was, but it was like maybe like a brisket sandwich or something. It was unbelievable.
That was the only road trip you guys have done together, right?
For a game?
For a game.
Yeah, I think so.
Zach was dipping his toes in whether he wanted to cover the team.
It's not.
He found out quickly it wasn't for him. I know it's not good for business for us to talk about how like I don't care, but I'm struggling to find ways for it. And I'm looking for it and I'm trying to.
You're showing quit.
I'm trying to be transparent and be honest with how I'm feeling right now. And I am trying to look for things, but like
appreciate the moment, Brendan. Simply the moment. Do not think about the long term. Do not think about what matters beyond it. Just appreciate the singular moment. It's much easier that way.
The one lesson I'll give you is respond.
I was going to say, Brendan, we're going to need you to respond right now.
How I do anything is how I do everything. I do think there's something to that. If I'm not
there is. I think that's a good mantra to live by.
I mean, it's like the way I take a poop in the next like 10 minutes isn't going to be the way I'm going to try to write a game story, but maybe it is. I don't know.
How much effort are you
putting so close to ending it well, and then Brendan happened.
I think it's fallen off the rails for a while ago.
I think this is a good podcast. I think it's gonna be well received, aside from like 2 people who are gonna be like, "Go."
Who are those 2 people?
I don't know.
Come on, Hubster.
Yeah.
Come on, Hubster. All right, let's get out of here. For Chris Nee, Zach Blossing, I'm Brendan Sonome. This has been On the Bench. Thank you for listening all the way through. If you have, I don't know why you would, but thank you if you did. We do appreciate it. Sorry, Colin.